been revealed. I thought a very, very cool trailer. So it's coming out on the 22nd of October, 2021 for PC, last gen, this gen, not for Switch, obviously. And it's following up from Battlefield 5, which was from 2018. Now, you guys are way more familiar with Battlefield. What do you think of the setting, the trailer, and are you going to dive into this game, you reckon?
Well, I'm definitely keen as a lapsed Battlefield fan. You know, I remember playing the original 1942 or whatever it was. At our friend's place, Mike. We were doing like LAN parties and stuff with that. Yeah. That was really, really cool.
Didn't we get copies from Domino's or something, or Pizza Hut?
I'm not sure, but I just remember
What do you mean?
They did. They were giving out free games. Yeah. I still have the discs. With every pizza.
Awesome.
I just remember, even though there was only a small group of us, like it was just just fun to mess around a Wake Island in the original. And then when, I was to skip forward a few games, Battlefield 3 to me was a phenomenon. When that game came out, it kind of really, really turned the tides. And I played that game so much. We all played it so much. And I lapsed after that. I didn't get big into Battlefield 4. I wasn't a fan of the maps, even though it was very similar to Battlefield 3 in many ways. And I essentially didn't try Battlefield 1 or Battlefield V or 5 or whatever. So I'm keen to get into this. I think the setting looks really, really cool. I'm very interested to see gameplay, even though obviously you can make an assumption what it's going to look and play like. I just want to see how it looks, basically.
Yeah, and we're going to have the gameplay reveal at the show tonight, actually, that we'll be live reacting to. But I actually love that they've gone into the future. I'm kind of sick of World War I, World War II, kind of like almost anything prior. I think if they did like Iraq or Afghanistan, that'd be interesting to me, but I could understand why they wouldn't, because it's a hot button political issue. So I'm so glad that they've placed it into the future. And also it feels very campy in a good way to me. I don't know if it feels like that to you guys.
Campy?
Oh, it's super campy. Like the trailer is ridiculous.
It's
like
awesome.
It's all the only in Battlefield moments, like the ejecting out of a plane to then RPG another plane. Like these are real stuff, clips that people made, and it became like this thing that across the community. But you mentioned like Iraq and stuff. Like Battlefield 3 was pretty close to, obviously not in exact setting, but I mean
set in the modern times. So
like
it was
Middle
basically
East,
it was like the equivalent of what you'd think of a modern combat. But I mean, this is not the first time the series has gone into the future. I mean, they had 2142, which was a bit divisive at the time. But this is obviously not that far fetched.
The near future.
So it looks cool.
I mean, it looked like the F-22 Raptor or something, or a similar kind of plane. I don't know if it was the actual F-22 in that trailer. The one where he jumped out and RPG'd the other. The one that's showing on the screen right now, that one.
Are you expecting me to say yes or no on that one?
Well, I don't know. Anyway, so that's a current plane. Echoing exactly the same thoughts as you, Swinny. I remember fondly playing it, and I remember having that LAN party and how cool that was with Wake Island. And I remember playing with I'm going to do a shout out to our friend Lee Abio, who I played quite a bit of Battlefield with. We're squad mates, always owning the maps. It was really good. But yeah, likewise, I kind of stopped at 5 and 1. Not because they weren't good games or anything. I just had other things, unfortunately, that got in the way of being able to do that. But I am looking forward to this one. I think it looks really fun.
No, I was just there was a couple of things I wanted to mention, but if you want to just finish off.
No, I was just going to quickly say what I found really interesting is that, first of all, there's no single-player campaign. I actually enjoyed the single-player campaigns. They were pretty epic. Some of that stuff was really cool. And no battle royale mode, which is fascinating because at the very start of the trailer, you see all the people parachuting down. That looks like a typical battle royale parachuting scene. So it's quite interesting that they said there's not going to be any of that. And I think I don't know, did it not work very well with COD? Were people not happy with it? I thought Warzone
that's huge,
was pretty huge. Exactly. Yeah, so I'm surprised they haven't done that.
I think the reason is because they have done that. They did Firestorm, and that didn't set the world on fire. Which is not a pun, by the way. So I think they just wanted to differentiate themselves a bit from COD and focus on other stuff. But the stuff I want to call out before we potentially move on. I don't know if you've got much more to say, but is obviously they're really focusing on the weather elements in this, which could potentially just be related to certain modes. So they've got a mode called Hazard Zone. Battlefield's always been really cool when it has included elements that essentially changes the level. So I can't remember the exact map, but Battlefield 4 had a map where you could essentially flood the entire map, and it just completely changes, obviously, the terrain and everything and the options there. So that's really cool. The thing that I'm not sold on, but we'll see how it plays out, was the fact that they're going to this specialist system. So rather than having the classic Battlefield class system, they're essentially going closer to, like almost like hero classes in a way. And I think COD's done this before as well, where it's like specialist characters, siege like operators.
Operators,
sounds like Rainbow Six.
Yeah, that have munitions abilities and traits and stuff, which is not too far removed from the class system. But we'll see whether or not I think that's been the biggest sore point for most people around this reveal. But it could be for the better. We don't know.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me that I want to know about, and I hope they reveal it tonight, is what are they doing with cross-play, cross-platform, how that's all going to work. Because it's quite interesting that they're saying that on current-gen consoles and PC, they're going to have 128 player matches, but on older consoles, it's going to be 64. So I kind of wonder, are we going to get a scenario where there's because typically you do not want to mix PC and console players because you got keyboard and mouse, which is the superior control method, versus controllers. You don't want to mix those teams together because that's unfair. Like the PC players are obviously better. Are we going to get a scenario where it's going to be broken down like this? PC, Xbox Series X, and PS5 in one shared cross-platform universe, and then old gen, so like PS4 and Xbox One X on the cross-platform. You know what I mean? It's almost like there's 3 buckets. Because how else could it work if it's 64 players on old gen?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. The only other thing is, there's going to be modes where they aren't going to have 128 players.
Yeah,
they do that all the time. They add like modes that are smaller groups, things like that. So you have potential to potentially do crossplay with that stuff. Potentially. There we go. That's
it. Just be interesting.
Great use of English there.
If it's like you can crossplay with Xbox people, but not friends who are on PlayStation 4 who can't buy a PS5. Like that would be a weird situation if that does occur. But yeah, we'll see. I think that's going to be really critical for me because I feel like this game to me is not that interesting if I'm not playing with you guys. But if you guys jump on it and I could play, and even if it means I have to get it on PS5 rather than PC because you guys have got it on Xbox, I'll probably end up doing that. But yeah, I'm really interested in where that lands. Mm-hmm. All right, to the big one, boys. Elden Ring.
Oh my god!